Welcome. It is time to rest. Time to let your body grow heavy and your thoughts grow soft. Tonight, we will take a slow journey into the distant past. Our path will lead us to ancient China, not to see wars, not to hear rulers, but to learn of curious things. We will speak of punishments, not in a harsh way, not in a frightening way, but as soft stories of history. Some will be strange, some will be surprising, and some will be almost unbelievable. But we will move gently, with quiet curiosity. Every word will be slow, calm, and simple. Every image will be soft, as if whispered in a dream. You may feel sleepier as we go. Each scene will bring gentle calm, even as the stories reveal strange customs. The far past will drift around you like a quiet mist, and soon, perhaps, you may rest peacefully in sleep. Section 1. The Cage of Silence. In the long history of ancient China, punishments were often strange and inventive. One of the most unusual was the cage punishment, sometimes called the kenge. It was not meant only to cause pain. It was meant to encourage reflection, to impose quiet shame, and to show the person to the eyes of the community. It combined endurance with observation, a gentle, slow lesson in patience. The cage was made of solid wood. It could be square or slightly rectangular, wide enough to rest on the shoulders. The frame often weighed many pounds. The person wore it around the neck, standing tall yet constrained. Movement was limited. Walking was slow, sitting was impossible, and lying down was forbidden. Even simple motions, like turning the head or stretching an arm, required care. Cages were placed in public spaces, a busy market square, a narrow street near a temple, or outside a local magistrate's hall might serve as the setting. People passed by slowly or quickly, glancing with curiosity, whispering to each other, or sometimes ignoring the scene entirely. The person inside could not hide or escape. Every passerby became part of the experience, a quiet witness to the punishment. The stillness of the person in the cage contrasted with the soft motion of daily life around them. Words were often painted on the wooden frame. The crime might be written plainly: theft, lying, disobedience, or some minor offense. These words communicated the reason for the punishment to the world. The punishment was as much about education and societal memory as about personal suffering. Observers learned lessons from what they saw, while the person inside absorbed both weight and awareness. Life continued softly around the cage. Merchants called to buyers, their voices gentle and melodic in the busy air. The smell of fresh bread, steamed buns, and fragrant herbs floated through the streets. Children played nearby, stepping carefully around the wooden frame. Carts rolled slowly over uneven stones. Bells rang from distant temples, and the rustle of leaves filled the quiet spaces. All these details were absorbed by the person within the cage, each sound and smell heightened by stillness. Time moved slowly. Minutes stretched like clouds drifting across a calm sky. The sun shifted, changing the warmth on the wooden board and the patterns of shadows around the square. The person in the cage felt each subtle change. A gentle breeze brushing the face became noticeable, the warmth of the sun more comforting, or the sudden shadow from a passing tree more pronounced. Even the smallest details, birds landing nearby, the whisper of wind, a cat padding softly across the stones, added to the rhythm of the day. Family or friends sometimes brought small offerings of food or water. Without them, the punishment became much harder. Even a single sip of water or a piece of bread provided comfort, a moment of relief and softness. These small acts of kindness reminded the punished person that life continued outside the cage. They also reinforced a gentle connection to others, an invisible thread of care in a situation of stillness. The seasons gave their own textures to the punishment. In summer, the heat pressed on the wood, warming the shoulders and skin, making every movement heavier. In winter, the chill made the wooden frame sting, yet the stillness persisted. Rain softened the surroundings, sometimes soaking clothing, sometimes cooling the air. Snow created a silent world, softening footsteps, muffling distant sounds, and adding another layer of quiet reflection. Every season shaped the experience uniquely, teaching patience and endurance in subtle ways. The punishment was not purely physical. It was sensory, mental, and even emotional. It allowed time for quiet observation. The person in the cage noticed details often overlooked: the shimmer of sunlight on cobblestones, the scent of fresh tea, the soft movement of leaves. Even the strangest form of punishment became a moment of gentle awareness. The kange often lasted hours or a full day. When it ended, the frame was removed carefully. The shoulders relaxed slowly, and the body felt light for the first time in hours. The mind, too, released the weight it had carried, settling into a soft calm. The whispers, laughter, footsteps, and wind continued, but they felt less overwhelming now, softer and gentler in memory. Imagine standing quietly in a market, heavy with the wooden frame, but aware of everything around: the smells of food, the warmth of sunlight, the cool shadow of trees, and the soft hum of conversation surround you. You are still and calm, noticing each gentle detail. Even the small movements of animals, birds, or passing children add to the quiet rhythm of your day. Every breath, every sound, every movement is a soft, mindful presence. In the end, the cage was more than punishment. It was a story of stillness, patience, and observation. It was a moment of strange beauty, a quiet pause in the movement of life. Even in discomfort, there was calm, a gentle lesson about endurance, attention, and the flow of time. When freedom returned, the memory lingered softly, a quiet reflection of a strange, slow, and immersive day. Section 2. The Bamboo Spikes of Solitude. Another unusual punishment in ancient China involved bamboo, though in a very different way from the cage. This method focused on stillness and discomfort rather than public shame. It was called the bamboo spike bed, a soft-sounding name for a strangely rigid experience. People imagine cruel spikes, yet the practice was not always violent. It was more about reflection and endurance. The punished person was placed upon a wooden frame lined with upright bamboo stalks. The stalks were thin and closely arranged, making lying down possible but uncomfortable. The body could rest, but only lightly, and only with constant awareness of pressure against the skin. The height of each bamboo could vary, ensuring that the punishment was gentle yet persistent. Even a small shift in position required attention, encouraging patience and mindfulness. These bamboo frames were sometimes set in quiet courtyards. In some cases, they were sheltered under soft roofs, allowing the person to feel rain or sun without direct exposure. Other times, they were placed outdoors where sounds of birds, leaves, and distant streams mingled with the punishment. The combination of discomfort and sensory observation made the experience slow, thoughtful, and oddly meditative. Even the smallest breeze, brushing through bamboo leaves, became significant to the person resting there. The bamboo spike punishment encouraged reflection. The mind focused quietly on breathing, small sensations, and the gentle rhythm of surroundings. Pain was never sharp, but the subtle discomfort reminded the person of consequences. It taught control, endurance, and attention to the body, merging physical awareness with mental calm. Unlike loud or public punishments, this was private, almost serene. Occasionally, a friend or family member might bring tea or soft food. These small acts became moments of comfort and gratitude. A sip of warm tea, the scent of jasmine, or the taste of soft rice created a pause, a gentle pleasure in the midst of stillness. Such gestures reminded the punished person of human care and connection, softening the experience. Even the smallest kindness became deeply significant. The rhythm of daily life flowed quietly around the bamboo frame. Water trickled from nearby streams, wind rustled leaves, and sunlight shifted gradually. Insects hummed softly, and distant bells marked slow moments. Even the faint clatter of a cart or the soft cry of a market hawker became part of the calming background. All these details filled the day with gentle awareness and subtle focus. In some cases, punishments lasted from morning until evening. The person would rise slowly, stretch carefully, and return to normal activity afterward. Even a short session taught patience, endurance, and careful attention to the body. The mind adapted to discomfort, learning subtle control over reactions. The experience lingered, becoming a quiet, thoughtful memory rather than a harsh one. Seasonal changes added dimension to the bamboo punishment. Spring brought soft rains and blooming flowers, creating gentle aromas around the frame. Summer brought warmth and light breezes, causing small shadows to dance across bamboo stalks. Autumn added crisp air and falling leaves, shifting textures beneath the body. Winter brought chill, making the skin more aware of every subtle movement. Each season shaped a different experience, blending discomfort with calm observation. The punishment also reflected social expectations. It was typically reserved for minor crimes or moral lapses rather than serious offenses. It showed that discipline did not always need noise, shame, or extreme pain. Instead, quiet endurance, reflection, and subtle challenge could guide behavior. It encouraged learning through experience, not fear, and mindfulness rather than aggression. While resting on the bamboo frame, one might notice small creatures nearby. Birds might alight on leaves, insects hum softly in the sunlight, or small animals scurry quietly. Even the smallest natural movements became significant, drawing attention and calm. The person in the punishment learned to observe life slowly, to appreciate small shifts in light, sound, and scent. Every detail was amplified by stillness and gentle awareness. The bamboo spike punishment was also an exercise in patience. It encouraged quiet thought and introspection, providing a slow rhythm to the day. Each shift in posture, each breath, and each sensory observation contributed to calm reflection. It offered a strange kind of serenity, a way to experience discomfort without panic or fear. Even centuries later, historians marvel at the strange combination of endurance and mindfulness in this practice. Imagine a quiet courtyard in the morning. Sunlight filters through bamboo leaves. A soft wind brushes the skin, carrying the smell of flowers and earth. The punished person lies carefully on the bamboo frame, conscious of every gentle pressure. The world continues around them in soft motion. Birds, distant streams, and rustling leaves. Every sensation is noticed, every detail observed, and the mind moves slowly, quietly, like the day itself. By evening, the bamboo frame is empty. The person rises, feeling small aches, but also a soft calm. The day has passed slowly, lessons absorbed quietly, and endurance tested without noise. The punishment ends, leaving only gentle memory and the quiet rhythm of the natural world. Section 3. The Ticklish Chair of Reflection. In ancient China, some punishments focused less on pain and more on patience and self-awareness. One of the most curious was the ticklish chair, sometimes referred to as the feathered seat of reflection. It was not widely known, but it existed in certain regions as a gentle, unusual method to encourage contemplation and moral correction. Unlike other forms of punishment, it relied on subtle discomfort and the curious awareness of one's body. The ticklish chair was crafted from wood, tall and narrow, with small gaps across the seat and backrest. Tiny feathers, carefully inserted or attached, brushed against the skin in unpredictable ways. The person would sit quietly upon the chair, unable to lean back fully or adjust easily. Every slight movement caused a gentle tickle, a sensation that required attention and composure. It was not painful, but it demanded patience and mental focus. The chair was placed in quiet courtyards, often shaded by trees or near fountains. Water trickled gently from stone basins, birds sang softly from nearby branches, and the scent of flowers lingered in the air. People passed by occasionally, but the punishment was usually private or semi-private. It allowed the person to reflect quietly, focusing on subtle sensations and their own patience. Even the soft breeze that moved through the courtyard contributed to the delicate rhythm of the experience. Sitting on the ticklish chair required stillness. Every small movement brought a soft, persistent sensation from the feathers. The mind learned to slow down, to observe both body and environment carefully. Breathing became deliberate and mindful. The gentle tickling, combined with awareness of surrounding sounds, smells, and sights, created a slow, immersive experience. Unlike harsher punishments, the ticklish chair encouraged observation. The person noticed tiny details in their environment. The shimmer of sunlight across leaves, the distant clatter of a cart, the rustle of silk garments passing by, all became amplified in awareness. Even the smell of freshly baked bread from a nearby stall or the faint aroma of tea offered subtle comfort amid the stillness. The combination of light discomfort and gentle stimuli created a reflective, almost meditative state. Some versions of the chair included small cushions, which softened the tickling slightly, but did not remove the need for stillness. Others had adjustable feathers or brushes, designed to stimulate different areas of the body. The punishment was adaptable, allowing for longer or shorter sessions, depending on the crime or the moral lesson intended. It was often used for minor offenses or lapses in behavior, not serious crimes. The goal was understanding, patience, and mental control, rather than humiliation or pain. Family or attendants might bring refreshments. A cup of warm tea or a small sweet rice cake could be offered, adding a gentle moment of comfort. Even these small acts encouraged mindfulness, teaching the punished person to savor sensations and pause deliberately. It reinforced the soft rhythm of life, blending slight discomfort with subtle pleasure. Through this practice, discipline became an experience, not a harsh enforcement. The courtyard itself played a significant role. Fountains or small streams provided quiet, flowing sounds. Wind moved through trees, rustling leaves and shifting sunlight across the ground. Small animals, like birds or insects, became part of the delicate environment. Every subtle sound, motion, or smell was heightened by the stillness and gentle tension of the chair. The person became deeply aware of their body and surroundings, learning patience in a serene context. The duration of the punishment varied. Some sat for a few hours, others for an entire day. Long periods allowed for deeper reflection, teaching the mind to remain calm under subtle challenge. Even as the body experienced mild stimulation, the mind settled into a gentle rhythm of awareness. The unusual method encouraged quiet endurance, soft patience, and self-reflection. Seasons influenced the experience of the ticklish chair. In spring, soft rains and blossoming flowers added fragrance and subtle moisture to the environment. Summer brought warm sunlight, highlighting small movements of the feathers, creating shifting patterns of light and shadow. Autumn winds carried dry leaves and cool air, adding gentle textures against the skin. Winter chills heightened every slight touch of a feather, creating awareness without harshness. Each season transformed the environment, making every session a unique experience. This punishment reflected the philosophy of balance in Chinese culture. Discipline did not always need severity or public shame. The ticklish chair encouraged calm endurance, observation, and reflection. It invited the punished person to learn from minor discomfort, noticing both inner sensations and outer details. Even centuries later, it serves as a curious example of the ingenuity and subtlety of ancient disciplinary practices. Imagine sitting on this chair in a quiet courtyard. Sunlight filters through the leaves above, birds sing softly, and water trickles nearby. A gentle breeze brushes your arms and face, stirring the feathers on the chair. Every touch is light, rhythmic, and unpredictable. Your body notices, your mind focuses, and the world around you becomes a gentle landscape of small, calming details. By the end of the day, the person rises slowly. Muscles are relaxed, yet the mind feels sharper, calmer, and more patient. The ticklish chair, though strange and unusual, has imparted its quiet lesson. Endurance, reflection, and mindfulness linger, leaving a gentle imprint on memory. Even in the most bizarre punishment, there is a space for calm observation, subtle reflection, and soft awareness of the world around. Section 4. The Iron Ring of Quiet Endurance. In ancient China, some punishments were not meant for public display, but for private reflection. One of the strangest and most memorable was the Iron Ring of Quiet Endurance. It was designed to test patience, stability, and the mind's ability to endure gentle discomfort over time. Unlike other punishments, it was subtle, yet strangely demanding. The person was neither shamed nor forced into dramatic movements. Instead, they experienced restraint in a quiet, deliberate way. The iron ring was a circular metal band, large enough to fit around the person's torso or waist. It could be secured in a room, a courtyard, or even near a small garden. Its weight was modest, not enough to cause severe pain, but enough to limit motion and create awareness of posture. The person had to stand, or sometimes sit in a specific position, while the ring pressed lightly against their body. Every movement, even a slight lean, was restricted, requiring careful attention. Even breathing became part of the lesson, deliberate and slow, a rhythm intertwined with calm awareness. The subtle pressure encouraged mindfulness. The punished person noticed every shift in balance, the gentle sway of the body, and the quiet pull of the metal. Breathing became deliberate, slow, and controlled. The mind focused naturally on observation, noticing both body and surroundings. Even the softest sounds, the distant call of a bird, the trickle of a small fountain, or the wind brushing bamboo leaves, became part of the experience. The passage of time felt extended, each moment stretching gently and quietly. Sometimes small courtyards or private gardens were chosen for this punishment. Flowering trees, moss-covered stones, and small ponds created a serene environment. Sunlight shifted slowly, creating patterns of light and shadow across the stone and the person within the ring. The person became a quiet observer of life, noticing shifts in color, movement, and temperature. Even the faint aroma of soil, flowers, or incense contributed to the calming, immersive atmosphere. The world seemed to move softly around the still figure, emphasizing patience and reflection. The iron ring was often used for moral or minor legal infractions. It was not meant for serious crimes or dangerous offenders. Instead, it served as a subtle reminder of discipline and reflection. The gentle restraint allowed time for contemplation, helping the individual consider their actions and consequences quietly. It encouraged patience, mindfulness, and endurance without harsh punishment or humiliation. Even the slow ache from standing reminded the person of the value of composure and calm endurance. Family members or attendants sometimes brought small comforts. A cup of warm tea or a simple sweet rice cake could be placed nearby, allowing the person brief moments of gentle pleasure. Even these small offerings became deeply meaningful during the long hours of stillness. They reinforced human connection, softening the experience without reducing the lesson. The combination of slight discomfort, gentle observation, and soft care created a unique rhythm of calm discipline. Time passed slowly, measured in subtle increments. Sunlight moved gradually across the courtyard, changing warmth and shadows. Wind brushed through trees, rustling leaves softly. Birds perched nearby, insects hummed quietly, and distant footsteps or cartwheels added gentle rhythms. Every sound, smell, and movement became amplified by the stillness imposed by the ring. The mind focused carefully, noticing the smallest details in a slow, deliberate flow. Seasonal changes added depth to the experience. In spring, soft rains and blooming flowers brought gentle fragrance and a hint of moisture. Summer provided warm sunlight and a faint breeze that highlighted small shifts in balance. Autumn offered crisp air, rustling leaves, and a gentle coolness against the skin. Winter introduced quiet, chilled air, heightening every subtle movement and breath. Each season transformed the punishment, blending endurance with serenity and soft observation. The iron ring also encouraged self-control. Every small movement had to be deliberate and precise. The mind learned to respond calmly to minor discomfort. Even when fatigue settled in, the person remained aware of posture, balance, and breathing. It was a slow lesson in patience, a gentle discipline that nurtured both body and mind. Sometimes, the punishment included subtle additions. Soft incense could be burned nearby, releasing delicate fragrance. Gentle sunlight shifted across the courtyard floor, highlighting the metal ring's subtle reflections. Even a small breeze through bamboo or trees added to the tactile and sensory experience. The combination of mild discomfort and calming sensory detail created a meditative atmosphere. Every tickle of sensation, sound, and sight blended into a soft, immersive rhythm of quiet endurance. Imagine standing in a quiet courtyard, the iron ring pressing lightly against your torso. Sunlight filters through leaves, highlighting soft movements of shadow and light. Birdsong, the trickle of water, and the distant hum of life surround you. Every touch, breath, and subtle sway becomes part of a gentle meditation. Time stretches, slow and unhurried, the body aware, the mind calm, observing the world softly. By evening, the ring is removed carefully. The person steps forward, feeling small aches, but also a quiet, lasting calm. Muscles relax, breath slows, and the mind carries the gentle lesson of patience. The iron ring of quiet endurance leaves a lingering impression of observation, mindfulness, and gentle reflection. Even in the strangest punishments, there is room for calm awareness and soft, immersive contemplation. Section 5. The Stone Seat of Patience. In ancient China, not all punishments were violent or loud. Some were designed to be slow, quiet, and reflective. One of the strangest was the stone seat of patience. This punishment was simple yet demanding, testing endurance, stillness, and the ability to observe the passing of time. It was used for minor crimes or moral lapses, emphasizing reflection rather than shame. The stone seat was a carved block, smooth but firm. It could be square or slightly rounded, just large enough to sit comfortably, but without the softness of a cushion. The punished person was required to sit upright, maintaining balance and posture. Even a small lean or shift could cause slight discomfort, reminding them of the stillness required. The stone pressed against the body, firm and cool, encouraging attention and focus. The seat was often placed in quiet outdoor areas. A courtyard, garden, or shaded veranda provided a serene backdrop. Nearby, water trickled gently from stone basins, and the air carried faint fragrances of flowers or herbs. Birds sang softly, and the distant hum of daily life moved slowly through the space. Even the sounds of small animals, like insects or lizards, became noticeable in the gentle rhythm of observation. The punishment encouraged mindfulness. Every sensation, the firmness of the stone, the subtle breeze, the warmth of sunlight, was noticed carefully. The mind focused on the body, breath, and surroundings. Even minor aches or shifts in position were part of the lesson. The stone seat transformed discomfort into awareness, patience, and calm reflection. Family or friends might bring tea or a light snack. These small gestures created soft moments of comfort amid the long hours of stillness. A sip of warm tea, its aroma rising gently in the air, could soothe minor fatigue. A piece of rice cake, sweet and soft, became a brief pleasure in the quiet discipline of the day. These acts of care reinforced human connection and the gentle rhythm of life. Time seemed to stretch while sitting on the stone seat. The sun shifted slowly, casting changing shadows across the courtyard or garden. The wind moved through leaves and flowers, rustling gently. Every sound and smell became amplified, filling the awareness of the person sitting quietly. Even the distant clatter of carts or the soft murmur of voices seemed slower, almost melodic, as if the world itself had entered a calm rhythm. Seasonal changes added subtle complexity. Spring brought the scent of blossoms, soft rains, and warming sunlight. Summer offered bright light, warmth, and occasional breezes that brushed across skin and clothing. Autumn added crisp air, fallen leaves, and a gentle coolness that heightened awareness of posture and breath. Winter introduced quiet, chilled air that made the stone feel cooler and every slight movement more pronounced. Each season created a new dimension of experience, blending endurance with serene observation. The stone seat also trained patience. Sitting still, aware of every small sensation, required focus and calm. Even minor discomforts, the hardness of the stone, fatigue in the legs, or pressure on the back, were transformed into gentle lessons in endurance. The mind learned to respond calmly, without frustration, appreciating the slow rhythm of time. Even after the punishment ended, the memory lingered as a quiet reflection on patience and observation. Sometimes, subtle additions were made to enhance the experience. Nearby water could be made to trickle more softly, creating a gentle ambient sound. Incense might be burned, releasing delicate fragrance that filled the space. Sunlight and shadow shifted gradually across the stone, creating visual patterns for observation. Even small animals, such as birds or insects, became part of the gentle meditation. The punishment transformed into a slow, immersive practice of awareness. During long hours, the person on the stone seat could reflect on their actions. Without distraction, thoughts drifted slowly, guided by the gentle discomfort and the soft rhythm of the surrounding environment. The combination of stillness, subtle sensory details, and calm observation created a sense of inner clarity. Even a seemingly strange punishment, such as sitting on a firm stone for hours, became a tool for growth and contemplation. The mind learned to endure, observe, and rest quietly amid gentle challenge. Imagine sitting on the stone seat in a quiet courtyard. Sunlight shifts slowly across your shoulders, the wind brushes softly, and distant birdsong rises and falls. The firmness of the stone reminds you of posture and patience, while every subtle sound and smell fills awareness. Breathing is slow and deliberate, each exhale merging with the calm rhythm of the surrounding world. Even the smallest movements of leaves or insects become part of the gentle flow of the day. By evening, the person rises slowly, muscles relaxed yet aware. The body feels light, the mind calm and reflective. The stone seat has imparted its lesson in patience, mindfulness, and gentle endurance. Even in a punishment that seems unusual or strange, there is space for quiet observation and soft reflection. The day closes slowly, with the rhythm of nature, time, and awareness lingering in gentle memory. Section 6. The Silent Walk of Reflection. In ancient China, some punishments were unusual in ways that focused on stillness, thought, and patience rather than pain. One such punishment was the silent walk of reflection. It required the person to walk slowly, step by careful step, without speaking, for hours at a time. The method was subtle, yet demanding, turning a simple act like walking into a lesson in mindfulness, observation, and calm endurance. Unlike public punishments, this was often done in private gardens, courtyards, or quiet pathways, allowing reflection in a serene environment. The path was usually lined with smooth stones or carefully arranged tiles. Sometimes, bamboo groves or flowering trees bordered the walkway, creating soft shadows and gentle fragrances. The walk could last from morning until afternoon, or even throughout the day. The person was instructed to keep their gaze low, focusing gently on each step and the rhythm of their breath. Every footfall became significant, every small movement measured, and every shift of balance noticed. The silent walk encouraged observation of both body and environment. The person felt the ground beneath their feet, noticing subtle changes in texture, temperature, or inclination. A cool breeze brushed the skin, rustling leaves or bending branches slightly. The distant sound of a stream or the hum of insects became more noticeable. Even the soft chirping of birds or the faint murmur of distant voices entered into awareness. The punishment created an extended moment of sensory immersion, where subtle details became amplified. Time passed slowly, measured by steps and breaths rather than minutes or hours. The sun moved gradually across the sky, shifting light, warmth, and shadows along the pathway. Patterns of sunlight flickered across the stones, leaves, or walls nearby. The person became a silent witness to these subtle changes, noticing each variation carefully. Even the cool shade beneath a tree or the soft warmth of sunlight on the skin became part of the lesson. Family members or attendants might provide small comforts along the walk. A cup of tea or a small snack could be placed gently to the side, allowing a brief pause without breaking the silence. These moments of refreshment became soft highlights in the rhythm of the day. The combination of slight physical effort, sensory awareness, and gentle nourishment created a soothing, immersive experience. The silent walk encouraged patience, observation, and the development of quiet inner strength. The punishment was often used for minor moral lapses or trivial offenses. It was not intended for serious criminals or violent crimes. Instead, it offered a way to teach reflection and self-control without fear, shame, or humiliation. By walking slowly, noticing subtle details, and maintaining composure, the person learned endurance in a calm, deliberate manner. Even the most seemingly mundane movements, the placing of one foot in front of another, the slight shift of the body, became meaningful. Seasonal changes added depth to the silent walk. In spring, soft rain might fall, carrying the fresh scent of flowers and earth. Summer brought gentle warmth and breezes that stirred leaves and carried faint fragrances. Autumn added crisp air and fallen leaves, providing soft sounds beneath each step. Winter introduced cool, quiet air, making each step deliberate and emphasizing awareness of posture and balance. The path became a slow meditation in every season, blending physical endurance with observation. The silent walk also taught the mind to adapt to subtle challenges. Distractions such as insects, wind, or distant noise became part of the lesson rather than disturbances. The person learned to maintain focus, composure, and calm attention throughout the day. Even minor discomforts, such as fatigue or aching muscles, were incorporated into awareness, creating a gentle, continuous practice of mindfulness. The punishment became less about correction and more about cultivating a quiet, patient mind. Sometimes, additional sensory elements were included to enhance the experience. Water could be arranged to trickle along the path, releasing gentle, rhythmic sounds. Incense might be burned nearby, adding soft fragrances to the air. The sun shifted slowly, casting moving patterns of light across the stones, trees, or walls. Even the softest sounds of distant life became part of the rhythm, weaving together a meditative atmosphere. The silent walk encouraged a delicate attention to the world, balancing discipline and observation. Imagine walking slowly along a quiet courtyard path. Sunlight flickers through leaves, shadows shift softly across your feet, and the air carries the subtle fragrance of flowers or earth. Each step is deliberate, each breath slow and controlled, and every gentle sound enters into calm awareness. The world around you moves quietly, while your mind focuses on patience, reflection, and presence. Even a minor change, the sound of a bird landing, a leaf rustling, becomes significant in the rhythm of the walk. By evening, the walk comes to a gentle end. The person stretches, breathes deeply, and feels a subtle calm throughout the body and mind. The silent walk of reflection leaves a lasting impression of patience, mindfulness, and the quiet observation of life. Even in the most unusual punishments, there is space for calm reflection, endurance, and gentle awareness of the world. The day closes slowly, with soft details lingering in memory, creating a sense of serenity and introspective calm. Section 7. The Water Bucket of Stillness. In ancient China, some punishments were unusual and quiet, focusing on patience and endurance rather than pain. One of the strangest methods was called the water bucket of stillness. It was designed to test self-control and attention, requiring the person to remain calm while seated or standing near water for extended periods. The water itself was neither hot nor cold, and the punishment was not meant to harm, but to encourage mindfulness and reflection. It was a private, subtle practice, teaching patience through gentle observation and minor discomfort. The punishment typically involved a large wooden bucket or shallow basin. Water was filled to a moderate level, often enough to create slight coolness or dampness if touched. The punished person could be instructed to stand, kneel, or sit near the bucket for hours. Movement was limited. Even small adjustments caused slight sensations of wetness or change in balance. The body became aware of subtle shifts, and the mind was guided to slow, deliberate attention. The water bucket of stillness was often placed in quiet courtyards or shaded gardens. A gentle breeze might ripple across the water, creating soft reflections and tiny waves. Birdsong, the rustle of leaves, and distant streams added to the calming environment. Even faint scents of flowers, herbs, or damp earth enhanced sensory awareness. The punishment encouraged attention to minor details, turning discomfort into a lesson in patience and calm observation. Even the soft hum of insects or the distant clatter of daily life became part of the meditative rhythm. The mind gradually adjusted to the slow pace, noticing small movements, sounds, and subtle changes around the courtyard. Family or attendants sometimes offered small gestures of care. A cup of warm tea or a small snack could be placed gently nearby, providing brief comfort. Even minor acts, like adjusting a shade or moving a small branch to reduce glare, became meaningful in the quiet environment. The combination of slight physical challenge sensory immersion, and gentle care created a reflective and calm experience. The punishment became less about discipline and more about cultivating patience and subtle awareness. The duration of the water bucket of stillness could vary. Some sessions lasted a few hours, while longer periods were sometimes used for deeper reflection. The water remained constant, yet its appearance and sounds changed. As sunlight shifted, wind stirred ripples, and leaves fell. Every movement became noticeable, from the subtle quiver of water to the faint ripple of a leaf floating atop the surface. Even minor adjustments of posture were magnified, teaching the punished person careful attention and self-control. Seasonal changes influence the experience significantly. In spring, soft rains and blooming flowers added fragrance and slight moisture in the air. Summer brought gentle warmth and increased sunlight, casting shimmering reflections on water and surroundings. Autumn's crisp air, falling leaves, and cooler temperatures heightened awareness of sensation. Winter's chill added subtle sharpness to each breath, making the experience more vivid and deliberate, and calm endurance. The punishment also taught inner focus. Distractions, birds, insects, distant voices, were observed but did not break concentration. Even slight discomfort from dampness or cool air became part of awareness. The mind learned to remain calm and present, responding to each sensation deliberately. Through this slow, immersive process, patience and mindfulness were strengthened quietly, without loud or harsh methods. Sometimes, small enhancements were added to deepen the experience. Incense might be burned nearby, releasing soft fragrance into the air. Sunlight could be used to highlight ripples, creating moving patterns that the person could notice. Gentle sounds of water, or soft breeze through trees, added rhythmic cues for focus and calm observation. Even a passing shadow, the flutter of a leaf, or the small movements of insects contributed to gentle, immersive awareness. The punishment became a slow, reflective meditation in movement, sound, and perception. Imagine sitting or standing near a gently rippling bucket of water. Sunlight dances across the surface, reflecting tiny waves onto nearby stones or leaves. A soft breeze brushes the skin, carrying faint scents of earth and flowers. Every small sound, every subtle touch, every minor movement becomes meaningful in quiet observation. The mind slows, breath lengthens, and the body becomes acutely aware of subtle sensations, learning patience and endurance in a serene environment. By evening, the session concludes quietly. The person steps away from the water, muscles relaxed, breath calm, and mind clear. The water bucket of stillness leaves a lasting impression of subtle endurance, reflection, and soft awareness. Even a strange punishment such as this demonstrates the thoughtful, inventive methods used in ancient China. Patience, mindfulness, and gentle observation linger long after the day ends, forming a quiet, reflective memory of the experience. Section 8. The bamboo frame of gentle restraint. In ancient China, not all punishments were meant to hurt or humiliate. Some were designed to teach patience, endurance, and observation. One of the most unusual was the bamboo frame of gentle restraint. It involved a carefully crafted bamboo structure that limited movement while allowing the person to remain upright or seated. This strange yet subtle method encouraged reflection, mindfulness, and awareness of body and surroundings. The frame was constructed from long bamboo poles, smoothed and polished. It was often shaped like a small cage or an open frame that allowed minimal movement of the arms and legs. The person could not slouch, lean, or move freely, creating gentle tension throughout the body. Every small shift was noticeable, every adjustment deliberate. The bamboo was firm but flexible, pressing lightly against the body without causing pain. The bamboo frame was usually placed in a quiet courtyard or garden. Sunlight filtered through leaves, casting dappled patterns across the ground and a frame. A gentle breeze stirred the bamboo and nearby plants, creating soft rustling sounds, the distant chirping of birds, a hum of insects, and a faint trickle of water from a nearby fountain added to the calming environment. Even subtle fragrances, such as flowers, herbs, or damp earth, became noticeable, enriching the sensory experience. The punishment encouraged awareness of posture and movement. The person inside the frame learned to maintain balance carefully, feeling the gentle pressure of bamboo against the body. Breathing became deliberate, slow, and mindful, aligning with subtle movements and the surrounding environment. Even minor discomforts, such as slight fatigue or tension in the muscles, were observed calmly. The mind focused naturally on each sensation, noticing the world in quiet detail. Time passed slowly while restrained in the frame. Shadows moved gradually across the courtyard, shifting light and patterns on the bamboo. The wind stirred leaves and the surrounding plants, creating a soft rhythm. Every sound, from the faint hum of insects to distant footsteps, became more pronounced in the quiet of the garden. The person's attention expanded, noticing details that often went unseen in daily life. The bamboo frame transformed minor restraint into a meditative experience of calm reflection. Family or attendants sometimes offered small comforts. A cup of warm tea could be placed nearby, or a small sweet rice cake left within reach. These gestures created brief moments of comfort amid the extended period of stillness. Even the gentle touch of a caretaker adjusting a stray bamboo pole could be significant in the serene atmosphere. These subtle acts reinforced human connection while maintaining the reflective nature of the punishment. The bamboo frame was often used for minor moral infractions, not serious crimes. It was intended to cultivate patience, mindfulness, and quiet endurance rather than cause suffering. The person experienced restriction, but in a controlled, safe, and calm environment. Even small moments of discomfort were transformed into lessons in observation and self-discipline. It encouraged the mind to remain present, attentive, and composed despite minor challenges. Seasonal variations added unique experiences. In spring, soft rains and blooming flowers created gentle fragrances and fresh air. Summer's warmth highlighted the smooth bamboo and cast moving shadows across the frame. Autumn brought cooler temperatures and falling leaves that rustled softly around the structure. Winter's crisp air heightened awareness of each small shift in posture and breath. Every season provided a new dimension to the bamboo frame experience, blending endurance with serenity and mindfulness. The punishment also taught concentration and inner calm. Distractions, whether from wind, birds, or distant voices, became part of the lesson rather than interruptions. The person learned to maintain stillness, patience, and awareness throughout the day. Even subtle discomfort, such as pressure points or stiffness, was observed without tension or resistance. Over time, the mind adapted, cultivating quiet reflection and composure in unusual circumstances. Sometimes, additional sensory elements were included to deepen the experience. Soft incense might burn nearby, releasing delicate scents that mingled with the natural environment. Water from a small fountain could trickle gently, creating rhythmic, soothing sounds. Shadows of moving leaves or swaying bamboo added gentle visual cues for observation. Even insects, small birds, or passing clouds contributed to the slow, reflective rhythm. The bamboo frame became a tool for patient observation, gentle endurance, and serene awareness. Imagine standing or sitting within a bamboo frame in a quiet courtyard. Sunlight filters through leaves, casting moving shadows on the smooth bamboo. A soft breeze stirs your hair and the surrounding plants. Every touch, sound, and scent becomes noticeable, guiding the mind into calm reflection. The gentle pressure of the frame, the shifting light, and the subtle sounds of the environment merge into a slow, meditative rhythm of awareness. By evening, the session concludes. The bamboo frame is carefully removed, muscles relax, and breath becomes slow and steady. The person steps away, feeling a quiet, lingering calm in both body and mind. The bamboo frame of gentle restraint leaves a lasting impression of patience, awareness, and gentle observation. Even the most unusual forms of punishment can create space for calm reflection and mindful presence. Section 9. The Night Lantern of Vigil. In ancient China, some punishments were designed to blend stillness, reflection, and gentle awareness. One of the most unusual is called the night lantern of vigil. It required the punished person to remain awake and watch over a small area throughout the night, guided only by the soft glow of a lantern. The purpose was not to frighten or cause pain, but to cultivate patience, observation, and calm endurance. It was used for minor infractions, moral lapses, or situations where reflection was deemed more important than punishment. The lantern was typically small, constructed of wood and paper, holding a dim, steady flame. It cast soft, flickering light, creating gentle shadows that moved slowly across walls, floors, and objects nearby. The person stood or sat in a quiet courtyard or enclosed space, illuminated only by this soft glow. Every movement, every breath, and every sound became more noticeable under the lantern's gentle light. Even subtle flickers of the flame could captivate attention, guiding the mind into a state of calm observation. The night lantern of vigil encouraged a quiet awareness of time and surroundings. Soft rustling leaves, the distant call of an owl, or the trickle of water from a nearby stream became part of the meditative rhythm. Even the subtle scent of incense, dew, or earth became more pronounced in the stillness of the night. The mind was drawn to small, gentle details that often went unnoticed during the day. Distractions were not forbidden, but they became part of a slow, reflective process, teaching calm focus. The punishment often lasted from dusk until the early hours of morning. Time moved differently in this quiet vigil. Shadows shifted slowly as the moon rose, clouds passed, and stars flickered in the dark sky. the person became acutely aware of each passing hour, noticing subtle changes in light, temperature, and sound. Even minor shifts in posture or clothing were felt vividly, deepening mindfulness and patience. Family members or attendants might leave small comforts nearby. A warm cup of tea or a simple snack could provide brief relief, allowing the person to remain attentive and calm. Even the act of setting down a lantern, adjusting its flame, or moving a small object was performed with care and gentleness. These actions created a rhythm that blended human presence with natural observation. The punishment encouraged reflection without harshness, fostering calm awareness through subtle engagement. The night lantern of vigil was not physically harsh. It relied on gentle discomfort, minor fatigue, and quiet observation to cultivate patience and reflection. The person learned to endure long hours of stillness, quiet, and attention without frustration. Even the simple act of standing or sitting in one spot for hours became an exercise in calm endurance. The mind adapted, learning to observe without tension and to experience time slowly and deliberately. Seasonal changes added layers of experience. Spring nights carried the scent of blooming flowers and damp earth, along with the gentle hum of insects. Summer brought warmer air, the occasional soft rustle of leaves, and a rich chorus of night creatures. Autumn introduced cool breezes, fallen leaves, and a crisp clarity in the moonlit sky. Winter nights were stiller and colder, heightening awareness of every minor sensation, from the chill in the air to the subtle warmth of the lantern's glow. Each season shaped the punishment uniquely, blending endurance with sensory richness and reflection. The night lantern of vigil also trained concentration and inner calm. Even minor noises or movements became part of the meditative environment. The person learned to notice without reacting, to observe without judgment, and to remain still amid gentle changes. Even the slight fatigue of standing or sitting for hours became a lesson in patience and composure. Through repeated practice, the mind developed focus, and the body learned gentle endurance. Sometimes, additional elements were added to enrich the vigil. Soft incense could release calming fragrance, blending with the quiet night air. Water could trickle from a small fountain, creating a gentle, rhythmic sound. Moonlight and clouds added slowly shifting visual patterns for observation. Even the faint movement of small animals or insects became part of the meditative experience. The night lantern of vigil became a strange yet serene combination of reflection, endurance, and sensory immersion. Imagine standing or sitting in the quiet of night, illuminated only by the soft glow of a lantern. Shadows flickered gently across walls and ground. A cool breeze brushes the skin, carrying subtle fragrances of flowers, earth, or incense. Every sound, movement, and scent becomes noticeable, guiding the mind into slow, reflective awareness. Breathing lengthens, muscles relax, and the body aligns with the gentle rhythm of the night. By morning, the vigil concludes quietly. The lantern is extinguished carefully. The person stretches and muscles release tension. A night lantern of vigil leaves a lasting impression of patience, mindfulness, and calm endurance. Even the most unusual punishment demonstrates how careful observation, gentle challenge, and reflection can create serenity. The mind carries the lessons into daily life, maintaining awareness, patience, and soft, enduring calm. Section 10. The Watchful Pillow. In ancient China, some punishments were subtle, quiet, and thoughtful rather than loud or painful. One of the most unusual was called the watchful pillow. It involved using a small, firm pillow to keep the punished person alert and mindful while resting. The purpose was not cruelty, but to teach patience, awareness, and careful observation, even during periods of rest. This strange method encouraged reflection and self-discipline in a calm, private environment. The pillow was made of firm cloth or straw, compact and slightly uncomfortable. It was placed beneath the head or neck, often in a quiet room or private courtyard. The person could not sink deeply into sleep. The firmness reminded them to maintain a gentle awareness. Even minor shifts in position became noticeable, each subtle movement guiding the mind into calm observation. The body experienced slight discomfort, but the effect was not painful, only enough to encourage alertness. The watchful pillow often accompanied quiet surroundings. A small courtyard, garden, or shaded room provided soft light and gentle fragrances. The rustle of leaves, the distant murmur of water, and the faint call of birds or insects created a calming environment. Even subtle scents from incense, flowers, or earth became part of the sensory experience. The pillow encouraged awareness of every detail, turning rest into a slow, reflective practice. Time passed gently as the person rested with the watchful pillow. The sunlight shifted softly through windows or leaves, moving across walls, floors, and the pillow itself. Shadows lengthened and changed shape slowly, guiding awareness with their subtle rhythm. Every sound became noticeable, from the distant hum of life to soft rustles nearby. Even the faint warmth of sunlight on the skin or the cool touch of a gentle breeze was amplified in the calm environment. Family or attendants sometimes brought small comforts. A cup of warm tea, a light snack, or the gentle adjustment of the pillow could provide brief relief. These gestures created a subtle rhythm, blending care with the quiet discipline of the punishment. Even minor acts of attention, like repositioning the pillow or adjusting a light curtain, became meaningful in the serene setting. The combination of slight physical challenge, sensory immersion, and human presence reinforced reflection and patience. The watchful pillow was used for minor moral or ethical infractions. It was not intended for serious criminals, but for those who needed gentle guidance in patience, awareness, and composure. The person learned to notice subtle sensations without reacting hastily, cultivating calm observation. Even fatigue, slight discomfort, or mild drowsiness became part of the reflective process. The punishment transformed rest into meditation, blending endurance with subtle mindfulness. Seasonal changes influenced the experience of the watchful pillow. Spring brought the soft scent of blooming flowers and gentle rainfall. Summer offered warm sunlight, faint breezes, and the occasional rustle of leaves. Autumn introduced cooler air, falling leaves, and crisp clarity in both sight and scent. Winter added quiet chill, highlighting each small sensation of warmth, pressure, or movement. Every season offered a unique variation, teaching patience and calm observation in different contexts. The punishment also trained concentration and inner focus. Every minor distraction became a tool for awareness, not a disturbance. The person learned to observe sounds, sensations, and even thoughts without losing composure. Even small discomforts, like slight neck tension or the firmness of the pillow, were incorporated into mindful awareness. Over time, the mind cultivated gentle alertness and the ability to remain calm and attentive in unusual situations. Sometimes, additional sensory elements enhanced the experience, Soft incense released delicate fragrance into the air. Water from a nearby fountain trickled gently, creating rhythmic sounds. Sunlight or lantern light shifted slowly, casting moving patterns for visual attention. Even the faint movement of birds, insects, or leaves added to the immersive awareness. The watchful pillow became a meditative experience of subtle endurance, reflection, and calm attention. Imagine resting on a firm pillow in a quiet courtyard. Soft light filters through leaves, casting moving shadows across the ground and pillow. A gentle breeze brushes the skin, carrying faint scents of flowers, earth, or incense. Every minor sound, touch, or visual change becomes part of the mind's gentle focus. Breathing slows, muscles relax, and the body remains alert yet calm, learning patience and reflection. By evening, the session concludes softly. The pillow is removed, the person stretches, and brief becomes slow and steady. The watchful pillow leaves a lasting impression of calm endurance, patient observation, and gentle mindfulness. Even the most unusual punishments reveal how subtle methods of reflection and observation can cultivate awareness. The day closes quietly, with calm thoughts lingering softly in the mind, a serene memory of gentle discipline and reflection. Section 11. The Floating Step of Patience. In ancient China, punishments often focused on quiet endurance rather than harsh pain. One unusual method was called the floating step of patience. It required a person to walk slowly along a narrow, slightly elevated plank or pathway over water or soft ground. The goal was not to punish harshly, but to cultivate careful attention, balance, and calm endurance. The floating step turned a simple act like walking into a slow, reflective practice. The pathway could be made of wood, stone, or bamboo, carefully smoothed and raised just a few inches above the water or soft earth. The narrow width demanded deliberate steps, gentle shifts of weight, and focused balance. Even minor slips or wobbles were noticeable, guiding awareness of posture and movement. The person moved slowly, step by step, observing the surroundings, the surface beneath their feet, and their own body's response. Every subtle sway, tilt, or adjustment became part of the lesson in patience and mindfulness. The floating step was often placed in serene environments. A courtyard with flowing water, a small pond, or a shaded garden provided calming sensory input. The gentle ripple of water, rustling of leaves, and faint calls of birds or insects created a soft background rhythm. Even the subtle scents of earth, flowers, or herbs became noticeable and comforting. Punishment encouraged awareness of both the body and the surrounding environment, blending endurance with reflection. Time passed slowly along the narrow path. The sun moved gradually across the sky, casting shadows and light patterns on the walkway and water below. Soft breezes shifted leaves and ripples, adding dynamic elements to the otherwise still scene. Even small sounds, such as a bird landing nearby or the distant hum of daily life, were noticed with clarity. Every subtle change became a focus of attention, guiding the mind into a calm, reflective rhythm. Family or attendants sometimes brought gentle support. A small cup of tea or a light snack might be offered during brief pauses. Even minor gestures, like adjusting a small bamboo railing or guiding a wayward plank, were performed quietly. These acts of care maintained a calm rhythm and reinforced patience without breaking the reflective atmosphere. The floating step combined subtle physical challenge with sensory observation and quiet endurance. The punishment also trained focus and inner calm. Distractions became part of the lesson rather than interruptions. A sudden ripple in the water, a soft breeze, or a distant sound prompted gentle attention without tension. The person learned to observe sensations and respond with patience, cultivating steady awareness. Even slight fatigue or discomfort became part of the reflective practice, teaching endurance through calm observation. Seasonal changes shaped the experience uniquely. In spring, soft rain, fresh blossoms, and gentle warmth made each step immersive and fragrant. Summer brought stronger sunlight, warmer air, and subtle sounds of insects or flowing water. Autumn added cool breezes, fallen leaves, and crisp clarity, sharpening sensory awareness. Winter introduced quiet, still air and chill, heightening attention to every minor movement and sensation. Each season transformed the floating step into a slow, meditative, and reflective experience. The punishment encouraged mindfulness of the smallest details. Foot placement, weight shifts, and posture required deliberate attention. Even slight sounds, smells, or visual changes became part of the reflective practice. The mind gradually learned to focus calmly on the present. Noticing what often goes unnoticed in daily life, the body too became attuned to subtle movements, balance, and gentle endurance. Additional elements were sometimes included to enhance awareness. Water could be arranged to ripple gently, creating rhythmic, soothing sounds. Soft incense might add gentle fragrance to the surroundings. Sunlight or moonlight could cast slowly moving patterns across the path and water. The faint movement of leaves, birds, or small animals further enriched the sensory experience. All elements combined to create a quiet, immersive, and calming practice of reflection. Imagine walking slowly along a narrow plank over a small pond. Water ripples gently beneath. Sunlight dances across the surface, and leaves rustle softly in the breeze. Every step is deliberate, each breath slow and mindful. Even the smallest shift in balance, sound, or light becomes noticeable and meaningful. The mind quiets. The body remains aware, and patience grows in the gentle rhythm of the walk. By evening, the floating step session concludes softly. The person steps carefully off the narrow path, stretches gently, and breathes deeply. The mind feels calm, focused, and reflective, while the body is relaxed yet attentive. The floating step of patience leaves a lasting impression of careful observation, gentle endurance, and mindful awareness. Even in a strange or unusual punishment, there is space for calm reflection, patient attention, and soft, enduring presence. Section 12. The Silent Bell of Reflection. In ancient China, some punishments were quiet and thoughtful rather than harsh or painful. One unusual method was called the silent bell of reflection. It involved standing or sitting quietly near a small bell that was occasionally rung, requiring the person to maintain calm attention throughout. The purpose was not to harm, but to cultivate patience, focus, and gentle observation. It transformed a simple sound into a meditative tool for awareness and reflection. The bell was typically made of bronze or brass, small but resonant. It was suspended from a frame or stand, often in a quiet courtyard, garden, or shaded room. When rung, it produced a soft, lingering tone that faded slowly into the surrounding air. The person was instructed to remain still and attentive, listening carefully to each vibration, tone, and echo. Even subtle shifts in pitch or duration became noticeable, guiding the mind into gentle focus. The silent bell of reflection emphasized awareness of both sound and environment. The rustle of leaves, distant water flowing, or faint bird calls became part of the meditative experience. Even minor scents, such as flowers, incense, or earth, heightened attention. The bell created a rhythm for quiet observation, teaching the punished person to notice and remain present. Small movements or fidgets were discouraged, encouraging calm posture and patience. Time passed slowly during the practice. The bell might be rung intermittently or gently swayed to create soft sounds throughout the day. Sunlight shifted across the courtyard or room, casting subtle, moving patterns on walls, floors, or surrounding objects. The person noticed the passing of time through changes in light, sound, and sensation, rather than clocks or watches. Even the smallest variations, shadows lengthening, birds flying past, or a breeze stirring leaves, became significant cues for attention. Family or attendants sometimes offered subtle guidance or comfort. A gentle hand might adjust the position of the bell. A soft mat could be arranged for sitting, or a small cup of tea might be placed nearby. These minor gestures maintained a calm and reflective atmosphere. Even a quiet movement of an observer, a slight adjustment of light, or the repositioning of a small object could be noticed carefully. The punishment blended gentle challenge with human presence, enhancing calm observation and patience. The silent bell of reflection was usually reserved for minor moral infractions or lapses in conduct. It was not intended for serious crimes. Instead, it cultivated quiet awareness, endurance, and mindfulness in a controlled and serene environment. Even minor fatigue, restlessness, or distraction became part of the reflective practice. The person learned to remain attentive and composed, despite subtle discomfort or changing conditions. Seasonal variations influenced the practice subtly. Spring brought gentle fragrances of blooming flowers and soft, cool air. Summer added warmth, sunlit patterns, and soft sounds of insects or flowing water. Autumn introduced crisp air, falling leaves, and muted light, encouraging attentive awareness. Winter's chill heightened sensitivity to minor sensations, shadows, and sounds. Each season transformed the silent bell into a unique practice of calm reflection and mindfulness. The practice trained concentration and inner calm. Even minor disturbances, such as distant voices, rustling leaves, or small insects, were observed calmly. The mind learned to notice without judgment, to hear without distraction, and to remain composed throughout the day. Even small discomforts, such as standing or sitting for long periods, became gentle lessons in patience. Through repeated practice, the mind developed focus, and the body cultivated quiet endurance. Additional sensory elements sometimes enhanced the experience. Soft incense released gentle fragrances into the quiet air. Water from a nearby fountain could trickle subtly, creating a soothing backdrop to the bell's tones. Sunlight or moonlight cast slowly shifting patterns, complementing the auditory rhythm. Even passing animals, birds, or insects became part of the immersive, reflective environment. All elements combined to create a serene, meditative, and calm experience of subtle endurance and gentle attention. Imagine standing or sitting quietly near a small, softly ringing bell. Shadows shift slowly across the ground and walls as sunlight filters through leaves. A soft breeze carries delicate fragrances. while distant water or insect sounds mingle with the bell's gentle tone. Every minor sound, movement, or scent becomes significant, guiding the mind into focused reflection. Breathing slows, muscles relax, and the body aligns with the rhythm of calm observation and awareness. By evening, the session concludes softly. The bell is carefully silenced, the person stretches gently, and breath returns to a slow, steady rhythm. The silent bell of reflection leaves a lasting impression of patience, awareness, and calm endurance. Even unusual punishments in ancient China can cultivate mindfulness, gentle focus, and serene reflection. The mind carries the experience into daily life, maintaining subtle calm, careful observation, and quiet patience long after the day has ended. Section 13. The Pebble Path of Attention. In ancient China, some punishments focused on quiet endurance and observation rather than pain. One of the most unusual was called the Pebble Path of Attention. It required a person to walk slowly along a path covered with small, smooth pebbles, paying careful attention to each step. The purpose was not to hurt, but to cultivate patience, focus, and awareness of both the body and the surrounding environment. Each step became a lesson in mindfulness, teaching the punished person to notice what might otherwise go unnoticed. The path was often a narrow, winding walkway through a garden or courtyard. The pebbles varied in size, shape, and texture, creating a subtle and shifting surface beneath the feet. Bare feet with thin-soled sandals were usually preferred, enhancing tactile awareness. Every step required deliberate placement, gentle balance, and calm attention. Even minor slips or uneven surfaces encouraged careful observation and patience. The pebble path was often placed in tranquil surroundings. Water could flow gently nearby, soft leaves rustled in the breeze, and birds or insects added faint sounds to the environment. The subtle sense of earth, flowers, or herbs enriched the sensory experience. The punishment blended physical awareness with sensory immersion, creating a slow and reflective practice. Every element, touch, sight, sound, and smell, was noticed gently and calmly, guiding the mind into serenity. Time passed slowly along the pebble path. Sunlight shifted across the path and surrounding gardens, creating slowly moving patterns. Shadows lengthened and changed shape as the day progressed. The gentle breeze carried shifting fragrances and subtle movements of leaves. Even the distant murmur of daily life became a soft rhythm, blending into the reflective practice. Family or attendants sometimes provided small gestures of support. A cup of warm tea or a light snack might be offered during brief pauses along the path. Even minor adjustments, such as clearing an errant leaf or rearranging pebbles, were done quietly. These gestures maintained calm, reflective focus while allowing the person to remain aware of surroundings. The pebble path combined subtle physical challenge with sensory observation and gentle endurance. The punishment trained focus and inner calm. Distractions, whether from distant voices, insects, or moving shadows, became part of the lesson rather than disturbances. The person learned to observe without judgment and to respond calmly to minor discomfort or change. Even fatigue, soreness, or pressure from the pebbles was incorporated into the reflective practice. Through careful attention and slow movement, the mind and body cultivated patient awareness. Seasonal changes enhanced the experience uniquely. Spring brought soft rains, blooming flowers, and cool, fragrant air. Summer offered warmth, sunlight filtering through leaves, and faint sounds of flowing water. Autumn introduced crisp air, falling leaves, and muted light, sharpening perception. Winter added stillness, chill, and quiet, heightening awareness of each step, sensation, and sound. Every season transformed the pebble path into a unique exercise in calm endurance and attentive reflection. The punishment also encouraged observation of small details. The shape, size, and texture of each pebble became significant. The way sunlight glimmered off smooth surfaces or cast subtle shadows captured the eye. Even faint sounds, like a small pebble shifting underfoot or water rippling nearby, became important. The mind learned to focus calmly on the present, noticing details that often went unnoticed in daily life. Additional elements could enhance the practice. Soft incense released gentle fragrances into the air. A small fountain could create a rhythmic, soothing background sound. Birds, insects, or small animals moving nearby added to the immersive experience. Sunlight or moonlight shifted slowly across the path, highlighting subtle movements and textures. All elements combined to create a serene, immersive, and reflective environment. Imagine walking slowly along the narrow pebble path in a quiet garden. The subtle unevenness beneath your feet guides each step, demanding careful attention. Sunlight flickers across the path, leaves rustle gently in the breeze, and soft scents rise from earth and flowers. Every movement, sound, and sensation becomes noticeable, guiding the mind into calm reflection. Breathing slows, muscles relax, and the body aligns with the slow, meditative rhythm of the walk. By evening, the pebble path session concludes softly. The person steps off the pebbles, stretches gently, and breath returns to a slow, steady rhythm. The mind feels calm and attentive, the body relaxed yet alert. The pebble path of attention leaves a lasting impression of patience, awareness, and gentle endurance. Even unusual punishments can cultivate mindfulness, careful observation, and serene reflection. Section 14. The Whispering Wall. In ancient China, some punishments were designed to teach patience, focus, and reflection, rather than to cause pain. One unusual method was called the whispering wall. It involved standing or sitting quietly near a specially constructed wall, listening to the subtle sounds carried by the surface. The purpose was to cultivate calm attention, patience, and gentle observation. Even though the punishment seemed strange, it transformed subtle perception into a meditative and reflective experience. The whispering wall was made of carefully placed stones, bricks, or wood panels. It was often positioned in a quiet courtyard, garden, or hall, creating a serene environment. Small crevices, gaps, and textures allowed soft sounds to travel along the surface. A distant voice, a faint breeze, or the rustling of leaves became amplified and gentle, guiding attention. Every subtle sound, movement, or vibration became part of a reflective practice. The punished person was instructed to stand or sit near the wall, remaining quiet and attentive. Even minor movements were noticed, and every sound carried significance. Soft chirps of birds, distant trickling of water, and the rustle of leaves blended with faint echoes along the wall. Even the subtle scent of earth, flowers, or incense heightened awareness. The punishment encouraged careful observation of sensations that often went unnoticed. Time moved slowly with the whispering wall. Sunlight shifted gradually across surfaces, casting soft shadows and gentle patterns. Shifts in light and shadow became cues for awareness and reflection. A passing breeze moved leaves, and created soft variations in sound, inviting calm attention. Even distant sounds of daily life were perceived differently in this quiet and focused environment. The mind learned to observe without judgment, cultivating a sense of gentle presence. Family or attendants sometimes contributed to the serene environment. A cup of tea, a soft mat, or a light adjustment of the wall could provide subtle comfort. Even a slight rearrangement of nearby objects or the gentle movement of a small screen created noticeable but non-disruptive changes. These acts reinforced patience and awareness, maintaining the reflective atmosphere. The punishment balanced quiet endurance with gentle sensory engagement. The whispering wall was often reserved for minor moral or ethical infractions. It was not intended for serious crimes or harsh correction. Instead, it trained the mind to remain attentive, calm, and patient. Even minor discomforts, such as fatigue from standing or the sensation of stillness, became part of the reflective practice. The person learned to integrate subtle observation with mindful patience. Seasonal changes influenced the experience. Spring brought gentle breezes, flowering plants, and soft air, enhancing subtle sound and scent. Summer introduced warm sunlight, rustling leaves, and the occasional hum of insects or water. Autumn provided cooler air, falling leaves, and clarity in both sight and sound. Winter heightened sensitivity to small changes, including temperature shifts, subtle sounds, and gentle vibrations along the wall. Each season transformed the whispering wall into a new, immersive reflection. The punishment also trained concentration and inner calm. Even minor distractions, such as a small insect or distant voice, became part of the meditative experience. The mind learned to notice without reacting, observe without judgment, and remain composed for extended periods. Even slight discomforts became exercises in patience and careful attention. Over time, the mind cultivated gentle focus, while the body learned calm endurance. Additional sensory elements sometimes enhanced the practice. Soft incense released gentle fragrance into the still air. A small fountain or stream created subtle, rhythmic sounds to complement the wall's whispers. Moonlight or sunlight cast slowly shifting patterns on the wall and nearby surfaces. The faint movement of birds, leaves, or small animals further enriched the reflective environment. All elements combined to create a serene, immersive experience of awareness, patience, and calm observation. Imagine standing quietly near a stone or wooden wall. Soft sunlight filters through leaves, casting moving shadows. A gentle breeze carries subtle scents of earth, flowers, or incense. Every faint sound, ripple, and vibration is noticeable, guiding the mind into calm reflection. Breathing slows, muscles relax, and the body aligns with the gentle rhythm of attentive awareness. By evening, the whispering wall session concludes gently. The person steps away, stretches softly, and breathes deeply. The mind retains a sense of calm observation, patience, and reflective awareness. The whispering wall leaves a lasting impression of subtle endurance, quiet mindfulness, and gentle attention. Even unusual and non-harsh punishments can create space for inner calm, careful observation, and serene reflection. Section 15, the final reflection. In ancient China, punishments were often designed to cultivate reflection, patience, and calm endurance rather than pain. The final reflection was a practice used to conclude a period of subtle discipline, bringing together lessons from previous experiences. It involved sitting or standing quietly in a serene space, considering actions, choices, and the surrounding environment. The purpose was to integrate awareness, mindfulness, and gentle observation into daily life. Even though it was unusual, the final reflection encouraged serenity, understanding, and soft endurance. The space for reflection was usually a quiet courtyard, garden, or shaded room. It was arranged to create a calm and balanced environment. Natural elements like flowing water, small stones, or gentle plants enhanced sensory awareness. Soft light, whether from the sun or a lantern, shifted gradually across surfaces. The person sat or stood quietly, noticing each sensation, sound, and change in the environment. The practice emphasized awareness of the body and breath. Every breath was slow and deliberate. Each inhale and exhale noticed carefully. Muscles relaxed, but subtle tension and posture remained under gentle observation. Even minor movements, like adjusting a hand or shifting weight, became part of the practice. The body and mind learned to move and rest with awareness, patience, and calm attention. Time passed slowly during the final reflection. Shadows shifted across the ground and walls, sunlight and breeze moved gently, and faint sounds traveled across the environment. Every subtle change became noticeable, guiding focus and patience. Even the faintest scent of flowers, incense, or earth added richness to the experience. The mind absorbed details that often went unnoticed in daily life, cultivating gentle reflection. Family or attendants might provide minor support. A warm cup of tea, a light mat, or the careful adjustment of a small object maintained calm comfort. These small gestures reinforced awareness and patience without breaking the reflective atmosphere. Every subtle movement or sound became part of the meditative practice, teaching careful observation. The final reflection combined sensory immersion with mindful contemplation and gentle endurance. The practice was used for minor moral infractions or as a concluding reflection after other punishments. It was not intended to correct serious offenses through harshness. Instead, it trained the mind to remain attentive, patient, and aware, even in quiet, still environments. Even small discomforts or minor fatigue became opportunities for calm endurance. The person learned to integrate mindfulness and reflection into each sensation and thought. Seasonal changes added subtle layers of experience. Spring nights brought soft air, delicate fragrances, and gentle movement of leaves. Summer introduced warmth, sunlight filtering through foliage, and the occasional soft hum of insects or water. Autumn brought cool breezes, fallen leaves, and crisp clarity of light and sound. Winter heightened awareness of small shifts in temperature, light, and sensation. Each season made the final reflection unique, emphasizing the passage of time and gentle observation. The practice also trained concentration and inner calm. Minor distractions, such as a faint sound or movement, were observed without judgment. The mind learned to remain present, attentive, and composed. Even subtle fatigue or slight discomfort was incorporated into the reflective experience. Through repeated practice, the body and mind cultivated patience, mindfulness, and gentle endurance. Additional sensory elements often enriched the experience. Soft incense created delicate fragrances, while a small water feature provided gentle rhythm. Sunlight or moonlight shifted slowly, highlighting textures and movements in the environment. Birds, leaves, or insects added faint, natural sounds. All elements combine to create a serene, immersive, and calming experience. Imagine sitting quietly in a courtyard as sunlight shifts slowly across the ground. A gentle breeze carries the scent of earth, flowers, and incense. Every faint sound, subtle movement, and soft shadow guides the mind into calm reflection. Breathing becomes slow, muscles release tension, and the body aligns with the gentle rhythm of presence. Awareness, patience, and mindfulness deepen with every passing moment. By evening, the final reflection concludes gently. The person stretches softly, breath returns to an even rhythm, and muscles relax completely. The mind carries a sense of calm awareness, patient observation, and reflective focus. All the subtle lessons of previous punishments, from the night lantern to the pebble path, integrate into a quiet understanding. The practice leaves a lasting impression of gentle endurance, mindful attention, and serene reflection. And now our journey through the unusual, calm, and reflective punishments of ancient China comes to a close. Take a deep, slow breath and feel the quiet calm spread through your body. Notice how each small sound, subtle movement, and gentle sensation has guided your attention and focus. Allow your mind to settle into this soft, serene awareness. Rest quietly, feeling patience, mindfulness, and gentle calm washing over you. May your thoughts drift gently, like soft shadows moving across a courtyard. May your breath remain slow, steady, and peaceful. Let the calm of this reflection stay with you, carrying patience and serenity into your rest. And now, as the day comes to an end, allow yourself to drift into gentle sleep. Good night, and may your dreams be calm and quiet, full of gentle awareness and soft reflection.